A few months ago when I got the Sony A7C, I needed a wide angle lens, so I got this 24mm lens that you're currently looking at. But after a while, I decided that it wasn't quite wide enough, so I got this 18mm lens. But eventually, I felt like I could go even wider still, and so I got this 7ARTISANS 9mm f5.6 lens. This is really wide. To really get a sense of how wide 9mm is, you need to compare to other traditional wide-angle lenses. For example, like the aforementioned 24mm and 18mm lenses. Take a look at these pictures here. Here's what you see in this scene at 24mm. Here's what you see in this scene at 18mm. And here's what you see in this scene at 9mm. Keep in mind, all of those pictures are taken standing in the exact same location. I haven't moved at all. That's how much of a difference that 9mm makes. Also, to really add to that, it looks like I'm standing far away from the camera right now. Watch this. One step forward, and I can touch the camera. It looks like I'm a mile away. This lens is a rectilinear lens, meaning you're not gonna have that super warpy fisheye effect. Instead, the corners are pretty much straight up and down. Although it is worth noting that things do still get a little bit distorted. Like if you're taking a picture of people, you probably wouldn't want to put any people on the very edges of the frame, because the more you get over here, the more you notice that maybe it's kind of like stretched out a little bit. Maybe it gets a little weird. Still though, any subject that's kind of reaching towards the camera will get kind of distorted and strange. Like my hands look normal right here, but if I just reach towards the lens, you know, you can see, obviously my hand is not bigger than my body in real life. My fingers aren't like 8 feet long. That's something to keep in mind in case you have any subjects up close to the camera and any that are further away. Having said that though, very cool rectilinear lens and no fisheye distortion. In terms of build quality, this lens is really solid. You've got an all metal design, and even though it's small, it's actually got a pretty good amount of weight to it. Also, you've got a really nice wide focusing ring that feels super smooth to turn. It's a pretty short focus throw from infinity to the closest possible focusing distance. You've also got an aperture ring, which is clicked. I know some filmmakers might not be crazy about that, but I actually like it. It's very well dampened, and so when you turn it, it's weirdly satisfying how smooth and how well it just sort of locks into place. It gives it a very premium feel. The other thing too, for me personally, I like the clicked aperture ring because there's so many times where I've accidentally gone from like f1.4 to f8 just because I bumped it with my hand. With this, it's locked right in place. The other thing that I like about this lens that has nothing to do with how it performs, but that lens mount being that sort of gunmetal gray color, that looks super cool. I don't know why more companies don't do that. This lens just looks super stylish. I don't know, it just gives it a whole different vibe. One of the things I was curious about with this lens is, can you vlog with it? Because 9mm on a full frame camera is like a full frame action camera basically. So my concern though is that it's so wide that the IBIS in the camera probably isn't going to play well with it, and there's probably going to be a lot of warpy stuff in the corners. Having said that, if you're just filming with it in a stationary environment like this, I mean, I've just got it sitting on the dashboard of the car, this looks great. By the way, I want to document how apocalyptic and weird this is. It's 75 degrees, it's December. By the way, for you in other countries, it's that much in Celsius. It's hot here, but all of a sudden it's gotten completely foggy. Everything is covered in mist, and yet there's been a non-stop rumbling of thunder off in the distance. Well, not really the distance, it's kind of like right there. And it's just been going on for at least over an hour now, and I think I just saw lightning too, which that just feels super weird for this time of year. Okay, here's the quick vlogging test, because that lightning is starting to get like actual real lightning. See, I don't think you can hear that because I'm wearing a lav mic. It's just that thunder is picking up louder and louder. It's over there in that direction. And we're starting to get more and more lightning, which is super weird, man. I think the thing that really surprised me about that footage is it's not quite as warpy and shaky as I was expecting. You know, I knew there would be like a lot of wobble in the corners. That's just the nature of having a very wide angle lens paired with IBIS. There's not really any getting around that. But, you know, when I was filming that vlogging test and I was like walking around, I wasn't trying to be careful or step lightly or anything like that. I was just kind of stomping around, walking around like normal, and it wasn't as wobbly as I thought it would be. I would actually consider using that for vlogging, though I would make more of a concerted effort to like walk softly and, you know, keep my hands steady. Because any slight bit of movement and you're going to just start seeing those corners moving around like jello. In terms of photography, however, this lens is like a lot of lenses. It's sharp in the center and it's a little bit softer in the corners, and it can be corrected by stopping it down. Having said that, it's worth pointing out that this lens's maximum aperture is 5.6. So if you're stopping down, you're probably going to be stopping down to like f8. That's something worth taking into consideration if you film at night like this, or you film in low light situations. You're going to be shooting at higher ISOs. Other than that, though, I really like the perspective that this lens offers. It is just so different from anything else that I've ever used. It's funny, this lens is so wide that I was trying to stand way back there to get like all of the trees in the picture. And when I walked back there and then I looked through the camera, the trees were like this big. I had to take like 200 steps forward just to get them so that it's like filling up the photo. Sometimes it's almost hard to comprehend just how wide this lens actually is. Or like this image here. Those trees that are filling the top of the frame, they're behind me. I'm facing that way. But it's so wide, it's picking up. It almost looks like they're overarching. They're not like that in real life. So who's this lens actually for? Well, there's the obvious uses of landscape photography, real estate photography, even astrophotography, but like I've already pointed out, this lens's maximum wide open aperture is only 5.6, so that is something worth taking into consideration. Having said that, though, I feel like one of the biggest audiences for this lens is people who just want to actually enjoy photography, people who actually want to have fun, or moreover, people who are stuck in a rut. You know, as someone who's personally been doing this every day since like 1986, you can imagine I've kind of gotten burned out here and there. This is the kind of lens that helps you get out of a rut. You know, it is so different from what you're used to looking at. This lens offers you such an entirely unique perspective that you're not getting with a traditional wide-angle lens like 18 or 24 or anything like that. It just makes you see things differently, especially when you're out in an area with lots of buildings or lots of nature, kind of doesn't matter either way, because anything starts to look interesting when you're using a lens that's this wide. For me personally, this has been something that I've been excited about. You know, using this lens, I actually look forward to it because it's just so different from what I would normally use. If you are curious about this lens, I'll have it linked below to every single different mount. Having said that, I think that's all I got for today, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.